Preacher Girls, welcome back to another episode, another exciting episode of the PG podcast. My name is Pastor Sharo, and today I want to address an issue that maybe so many of you Christian girls out there have. And it's the issue of how do you invite someone to church, or how do you share your faith with a stranger? I know it's difficult for some of you, especially the introverts, the shy ones among us, the people who don't know how to talk to a stranger in any capacity. Far more difficult is it to invite someone to church. Now, the point of speaking to someone isn't to invite them to church. Jesus didn't say go ye into all the world and invite them to church. But often a relationship with Christ is nurtured and is developed in the church. And so therefore, a part of the process after someone is saved, after someone becomes a believer in Jesus, or in order to bring someone to faith, church is the best place to do it. They get a great glimpse of what it's like to be in the family of God. They get a taste of the real Word of God, and most likely, if your church is like mine, they get to experience and encounter the presence of God itself. What an amazing thing. And you know, people may be hurting, people may be in trouble, and definitely the whole world needs Jesus. Everybody that thinks they need something and they're going after it, but they're not sure what that is, they need Jesus. Those of us who know Jesus, we know this is the truth. People who are lost or people who are without Christ don't know that yet. And that's why it's so important for every single one of us not only to share our faith, to lead men and women to Jesus Christ, but also maybe as a starting point to invite them to church with us. If the fellowship of the Christians, if being around brothers and sisters and learning from the Word of God and having a weekly fellowship has been a pivotal part of your Christian walk, then it will also be life-changing for someone else. The problem is we don't know how to have that conversation. Well, very recently, the Lord brought this back to my mind, and I thought, what a great way to share it with you. This easy way to always be open to inviting somebody without the stress, without the anxiety, without the fear, and without having to just sweat bullets before you ever say those magic words. Now, I learned this as a child, so now it's second nature to me, but I recently heard some other people talk about it. One such person is Andy Stanley. You guys might have heard of him, read many of his books, and he trains his whole corporation with these trigger points, and he calls them triggers, or I can't remember what he calls them, but that's what they essentially are. And so the way I was taught was like this. If you're ever talking to someone and they say these words, immediately, that's a trigger in your head. That's it's like when you're hypnotized, it's the snapping of a finger that says, when you hear those words, say these words. When you hear those words, say these words. It's like a mathematical equation. You don't have to think about it. If so, then so. It's like a computer program. If you hear these words, say these words. So I'm going to instruct you about how to invite someone to church with you no matter what. And when you hear these words, don't think about it. Don't give it context. Don't think about whether you should, just say it. So we can call them the not sentences or the not phrases. If ever you're speaking to someone and they say any of these things, immediately your follow-up response is, you should come to church with me this Sunday. Practice. Say it with me. You should come to church with me this Sunday. Did that feel pressurizing? No. Did it feel confrontational? No. You should come to church with me this Sunday. You know what? You should come to church with me this Sunday. There are a million ways to say it, and none of them are bad. So when do you say those words? For these three not sentences, if somebody says, things are not going so well. So in any context, when you're speaking to someone at work, whether it's in school, on public transportation, at the gas station, and you say, hey, how are you doing? And they say, you know what, things are not going so well. Immediately, when you hear that not, things are not going so well, your automatic response should be, you know what, you should come to church with me this Sunday. And I know your automatically response wants to be, well, why not? Or what's going wrong? And those things can come after, but immediately the trigger for things are not going so well, you should come to church with me this Sunday. Because what it does, it opens a door, one, for conversation, two, it invites them to meet with God who can absolutely help, and three, it is a response in love. It is not a confrontational response. If things are not going well for you, you need this. Get it? It's a solution. So if ever you hear that first trigger, things are not going so well, your response is, you should come to church with me this Sunday. Okay, the second not sentence is this: I'm not prepared for. So in school, I use this all the time. Every time we had a major exam and I asked somebody, random strangers, friends, acquaintances, teachers, are you ready for tomorrow? Are you ready for lunch? Are you ready for, the after lunch SDA or whatever test we were having? And if they ever said, I'm not prepared for this exam, my response is, you should come to church with me this Sunday. It seems completely disconnected, but it's so connected, because then I could say, this is how I start my weekend. It's how I get prepared for things like this, for exams like this. You really should come to church with me this Sunday. See how easy that is? It feels so natural. Whenever people say, you know what, we're having a baby and I'm not prepared for it, you should come to church with me this Sunday. Or I just got laid off and I really wasn't prepared. My grandmother just passed and you should come to, see? It's easy. It's easy. And you don't have to worry about how they're going to feel, how you're going to feel. What if they reject you? So what? Because you're not saying you need Jesus. You're not saying, you know what, you caused it. You're saying you should come to church. It's a suggestion. You should come to church with me this Sunday. Okay, the last one as we wind this up. So the third and easiest trigger of all, when you hear this sentence, don't waste another second. Let it automatically roll off your lips. When people say the words, I'm not from around here, immediately your response is, you should come to church with me this Sunday. What a great idea. None of those situations are aggressive or imposing situations, and you never have to feel bad about that, because in church, it's where we find the presence of God and we get so much joy, so much fill up for the rest of the week, that even people who don't believe like you do are going to be refreshed just by being in the presence of God. And so when you hear those three not sentences, those three triggers, things are not going well, I'm not prepared for this, I'm not from around here, your immediate response is, you should come to church with me this Sunday. And you know what? When you begin to train your brain to do that, then every day, somewhere, you're going to meet somebody who one day he's going to turn around or she's going to turn around and tell you, thank you so much for inviting me to church. You changed my life. Well, preacher girls, I hope this set you free a little. I hope it took away some of the anxiety of inviting someone to go to church with you, and that's just your beginning. But then you will get more open to telling people about your faith, to sharing your testimony. But a really great way to start is just by inviting them to be your guest at church. Remember, you don't have to say, would you like to? Or, hey, I go to a great church. Just, you should come to church with me this Sunday. Let's try it together. You should come to church with me this Sunday. I hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed this short podcast, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel. I always drop the best, in my opinion, hints and tips for being a great and devoted woman of God and daughter of Abba. And don't you ever forget that if God called you, no one can uncall you, because you don't need a pulpit. You just need a message.